All right, Sherry, I have a question that I don't really know the right words for, but I've noticed not only in Cullman County, but really nationwide, people struggle with what I call boundaries or boundary issues.
hmm
I know what I mean when I say that, but could you maybe define what you consider to be boundaries and boundary issues?
Well, boundaries can be somewhat difficult to explain, but in some ways they're simple too. If you look at a property map, you've got lines that separate states from each other and that shows a definitive space. There's a space that separates Alabama from Tennessee, that kind of thing. We have boundaries in life. A boundary is knowing where I end and you begin. A boundary is knowing what's appropriate, what my space needs to be, and where your space is. And there's different kinds of boundaries. There's physical boundaries, as in how close somebody wants to allow somebody to be to them. Some people want people to be at arm's length. Some people are okay with somebody being right up in their space. Emotional mental boundaries is, you know, you don't have to meet a stranger on the street and immediately tell them everything that's went on in your life history, because you want to develop relationship with people and determine, if that's somebody you would like to share your deep internal things with. So a boundary determines the extent of what I'm willing to share, what I'm willing to experience, and boundaries determine how I'm willing to let others treat me.
Well, yeah. In helping people who realize that they have these boundary issues, is that a common thing that people initially come in and talk to you about, or do you find that comes in the other topics that you help people with?
It comes in the other topics I help people with. When they come in and start talking to me, uh, I can identify, when we're doing the assessment and, you know, get into a session or two, I can identify when people are not able to set boundaries, such as when people are involved in a family issue and it's drama that's went on for many, many years, and they'll keep allowing themselves to be pulled into this same drama of something they cannot fix, and they're desperately wanting to fix it, but they can't. So they keep just staying in that drama and that chaos of that moment instead of setting a boundary, which a boundary would be, you know, oh, I can't do this. This same topic comes up over and over, and nothing's resolved because of it. In order for me to be okay, I still love you. I still want to be your family, but I can't engage in this anymore.
Gotcha.
And so you set a limit.
Well, what you're talking about, in a way, almost seems like common sense if you could recognize it.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
And it seems like that whether they're coming to you for help or they're someone with boundary issues is just walking the street, is having them recognize that. Could you make a comment or give some people guidelines to self-assess their own boundary problems or issues that they may not even know they have? In other words, let's say I don't know that I have boundary issues, but
Mm-hmm.
everybody else in town knows I do.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm maybe thinking that something's maybe wrong here. What would you tell people to think about so they can determine if they have these issues?
I get people to do a lot of self-assessment. The current issues that's going on, let's look at that. Let's look at what was your role in that. Let's look at historically the issues that you've had with either various family members or in relationships. Each time, what was the story of that? And if each time that story was, I gave too much way too quick, I give a lot more than I'm willing to receive, I find myself getting frustrated and resentful in relationships with others, what's the common denominator in that? And that's often me.
I follow you. What you just said, being a male, sounds like perfect advice for a female and a male.
It is.
But as a male, I'm not sure that I understood what you just said.
Okay.
And I know you may not be able to rephrase what you just said from a common male perspective, but please try. Okay? Because
Okay.
I'm trying to, what I'm doing here is I'm trying to figure out if I have male boundary issues that I'm not conscious of.
Okay.
Not that I'm trying to get free
So,
therapy.
so specifically male boundary issues. I would ask men in their relationships, to reassess those, or if they're having trouble with family, typically what has worked in these situations, what hasn't. Do you go in trying to take charge and fix things when somebody might want you to listen? And do you take the time to ask, do I need to be part of the solution, or do you want me to just listen? Some people's boundaries are just to jump right in there and start trying to fix it, like slinging the bat and, dragging the beast back to the cave, or so to speak. And, males like to fix as a general nature, and it can be harder to sit and just hear. So a boundary could be, are you willing to listen?